Hello, Adam. Thank you for inviting me onto the podcast. The thing about Thunderbirds is it is so ingrained into the British public. Even though it's not mainstream anymore, people remember the show. This is how I found out about this, cosplaying Lady Penelope. I happened to drop really lucky on a suit from a charity shop, and it was so close to screen accurate, it was unreal.
The only background we have on phones is that he has a niece and he has a garden. And that's it. And it's the scene where Colonel Foster is running with the Keystone Cops. It just looks so slapstick.
Amanda Shaw comes out with, "What the thunder is that?" I just love that.
Hello there and welcome to Keep and Destroy. This is your host, Adam Luff. This is the Gerry podcast where I interview the fans and ask what 5 they want to keep and what 5 they want to destroy. And here we are with part 2 of Maria Alice Gray's interview. So what is it that you want to destroy, Maria?
Right, I'm going to start with Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons and the episode The Inquisition.
Yes. Although I do like that episode, but it's a terrible finale, though.
Yeah, that's my main gripe with it. As an episode, if it had been put in somewhere in the middle, it would have been fine.
See you down there.
But not as the finale. You need to end on a bang, especially with something where you've got a war against the planet. Go big or go home. You're ending on a clip show, and that is not a good idea. Yeah, Stingray has a clip show, Thunderbirds has a clip show.
Joe 90 as well has a flashback episode, and Terrorhawks, Lavender Castle. They're all at the end of a season as well, which is a very bizarre choice, I agree.
It just doesn't work in my favour. It's a letdown for the whole series because you've been building this war and you've had Spectrum winning, the Mysterons winning. Attack on Cloudbase is the episode I think they should have ended with, realistically. Even though it was a dream sequence, I can live with that. But
yeah, I agree.
That would have been a much stronger ending because then at least we got a hypothetical ending to Captain Scarlet, whereas with the Inquisition, we get a clip show.
I think at this point, because when Gerry made things like Supercar, he was expecting to make a 3rd season of Supercar, but no, he had to make 5XL5 instead. But when he was making 5XL5 and Stingray, I don't think it was common practice to make a 2nd season of them, because Lou Grade would always prefer to have a new show. So with that in mind, you'd think that Gerry would have thought better than to have a flashback episode be the final episode. You could have still have the flashback episode, but just have it a little bit earlier. So you'd think he was building up to that with Attack on Cloudbase. It's a shame he didn't think about swapping them around.
But in terms of Captain Scarlet and the Inquisition as the finale, it just doesn't work. It falls flat for me. Second one on my destroy list, it's from Thunderbirds and it's the Mighty Atom. In some aspects, I do enjoy it because the idea of an atomic explosion, that's a really cool concept for a rescue. What kills it for me, though, it's the way Penelope's treated with her scenes. The Hood element I like, and the way the Hood's sabotaging them, trying to lure Thunderbirds out. But Lady Penelope's treatment in this episode, she's made to be a very ditzy blonde. It's like she's not part of the team until she goes out on a rescue. It's like, Lady Penelope wouldn't act like that. She's already been to the island by this point. And if you read the comics, she's been to the island several times before International Rescue starts operating.
And also introducing Thunderbirds for the 1965 DVDs.
I think the Tracy brothers teasing her, thinking that Scott was in danger, I like that moment.
Yeah.
But Lady Penelope's dialogue afterwards, it's like, oh, what's the procedure? I don't know it. She's an IR agent. It's like she's not actually doing anything. She's just sat there.
Sylvia Anderson had mentioned it several times in interviews. There was a period where the writers didn't know how to write for Penelope, and this is just a perfect example of Dennis Spooner not quite knowing what to do, so he just wrote her as comic relief.
For Lady Penelope to be written as a comedy character rather than a solid lead like we'd get in modern day productions, it would have been more conceivable for her to be the comedy relief. So I do understand that culturally.
See you down there.
At the same time, I'm such a huge fan of the character, and I absolutely adore Lady Penelope. I wouldn't cosplay her if I didn't love the character.
No, true.
It's like the Mighty Atom feels like a kick in the face for her character, especially when we see her in other episodes being a complete badass.
There should have been a Penelope and Parker spin-off instead of season 2, in my opinion.
Yes. I mean, to be honest, a Lady Penelope and Parker movie would have worked by itself without any gimmicks or anything, just them.
If they'd have done that instead of the 2004 movie, I probably would have been a lot more favourable of that movie.
And to be honest, that would have worked because it would have been like, move over James Bond, Lady Penelope's here. At that point, we'd had Die Another Day, which was absolutely atrocious. So a solid Lady Penelope Parker movie would have been absolutely perfect.
And it would have come off the heels of, pardon the pun, of the Tomb Raider movies as well.
Yeah, a strong female lead, which is what young impressionable girls like myself at that point, that's what we needed. We needed these female role models. My third pick for Destroy is from Stingray, and it is Star of the East. Of all the characters that appear in Stingray, El Hudat is my least favourite by far. It's just, I cannot stand this character. It's just, he's so sexist. It's like, I don't know if he was meant to deliberately be funny or if this is just the humour of the time, but I just really can't stand the way he treats Marina. It is really annoying because Marina's one of my favourite characters, and to see her being treated just like an item, really. When you look at the comics with the character, she's a princess of a kingdom. She's really bright. She's very intellectual, and this is what happens to her in this episode. It's just, the sexism just drives me up the wall in this episode. It really does. Marina, and she's just one of my favorite characters, and there is a lot of love for this character. It just drives me up the wall when you see her treated This episode can just burn for all I care. I really don't like this episode.
See you down there.
When it comes to Marina, the one thing I didn't like, and this is to do with the writing, is the fact that she's been kidnapped, and it's not like El Hudat was locking her up or tying her up or anything like that. So she could easily just run out of the boat and just dive into the sea, and he can't do anything about it. Yeah. And then even later on, when Troy's got to rescue her, it's the middle of the night. It's just sleeping, and she makes no attempt to try to break out.
You did make a really good point about Marina. It's very contradictory to Marina's character, because you look at the very first episode of Stingray, where she thinks on her own intuition and she actually frees them, realizing that Troy and Phones can help her. It's too old-fashioned for my taste. I just can't enjoy the episode. My fourth one, it's Joe 90, See You Down There.
Are you raving mad?
I have never got into Joe 90. I agree with Jamie Anderson on this one. I can't stand Joe 90. The kicker, it's because it's the Captain Scarlet puppets that are being used. And I can see they're the Captain Scarlet puppets, but I can't hear the Captain Scarlet voice artists. That's what killed it for me with Joe 90.
That's no excuse.
In the defense of Joe 90, they didn't resort to having Captain Scarlet or Captain Blue, but they did bring them both back for the Secret Service. Yeah, obviously this episode's got Colonel White with black hair and a mustache, but you can tell instantly it's Colonel White.
Yeah, because I could see it was Colonel White and I was expecting Donald Gray's voice. I just could not get into it. I tried, I gave it a good shot, but Joe 90 is just not my cup of tea, I'm afraid.
I see.
I love the voice acting in this, because Jeremy Wilkin playing the voice of Clayton, the Colonel White puppet, him and Gary Files, who also plays Molyneux, their scenes are just comedy gold, really. And I think there was a missed opportunity, because during one of the pranks, when they get Stewart and Evans to go to Clayton's house in fancy dress, and they've got Stewart as a jester and Evans as a cowboy, they should have gone with some Anderson characters. They should have had one of them in a wasp uniform, one of them in an international rescue costume or something. That would have been a great little touch, because they'd already established that Captain Scarlet was a fictional show, because Joe 90 is reading a Captain Scarlet comic at the beginning.
Okay, so my top pick for the Destroy is Thunderbirds, Give or Take a Million.
Same one that I'd picked. Couldn't agree more. Hate this episode too.
There are so many things I could say about this episode. Give or Take a Million was the worst possible ending for Thunderbirds. I like the idea of a Christmas episode, which that's completely cool. I like the idea of Christmas with the Tracys, but personally, I would have preferred it if they'd have done it with something more involved with the Thunderbird machines. If they'd done it, it's Christmas Day and they've had to go out and call because something's happened and you've got to launch. Or maybe you've had like a trio of missions happen. So you've had Thunderbirds 1 and 2 off on a mission. You've got Thunderbird 3 who's had to go into space. You've got Thunderbird 4 who's had to be called out. So we ended with a bank robbery. Where's the rescuing? Seriously, it's Thunderbird. It's supposed to be about saving lives and doing awesome stuff and explosions. And what do we get? We get 2 crooks we don't even know who never make any appearances. I mean, it wouldn't have been that bad if it had been Parker's best friend from his prison days.
Oh, Light-Fingered Fred, yes.
But we get 2 guys we don't know anything about. We get a hospital we don't know anything about. Seriously, where's the Thunderbirds? Where's the rescuing? Come on! We watch Thunderbirds because we want to see the Thunderbirds doing something, saving lives, being awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have been that bad if they put the hospital in jeopardy. Oh, God. I mean, of all the ways Thunderbirds could have ended, I would take Security Hazard over Give or Take a Million as the finale. Because Thunderbirds is my favourite show outright, it's the one that's had the most influence over my life. It's, of all the way it could have gone, it's gone with a flop rather than a bang.
I think they were always going to have this problem, to be honest, because the show got cancelled by Lou Grade. So Give or Take a Million was the latest one they'd done. So chances are they would have had some other scripts ready. So if they'd have got to maybe 13 episodes instead of 6, who knows what the finale would have been. But also, because it was shown on Christmas, and they actually showed the first 5 episodes, and I think they'd finished Ricochet, which was the penultimate episode, around November, but then there was nothing because they obviously had to hold this episode off till Christmas. So either way, Give or Take a Million was still going to be the finale. It was just circumstances rather than a desire to have this be the finale.
Yeah, it is a shame. Obviously, you can't go back and change the past. And admittedly, I do watch this episode at Christmas every single year. As much as I don't like it as a finale, as a Christmas episode, I do enjoy it.
And here we are at the end of Maria's Keep and Destroy list. You've certainly had a lot to say. There's one other thing we need to talk about before you go. Apart from all the cosplaying, you've also begun writing a series of books entitled Storm that's very inspired by the works of Gerry Anderson. So tell us more about it.
So Storm are a quasi-rescue military organisation that are the backbone of their galaxy, the Delphinus Galaxy. Storm are the go-to in the case anyone needs assistance. So they cover all manner of missions, from medical emergencies, natural disasters, engineering call-outs. So they do everything. Their motto is, "We've got your back."
Well, I want my back.
They've been operational for 450 years. The lead character of the Storm universe is a field operative called Storm Delta Echo. Her real name's Jack Winters. I launched the first book in Storm's series, which was Storm Echo's Call, in 2019. And that story focuses on Jack on a mission, and she's trying to save these endangered space whales which have accidentally strayed into a planet's atmosphere which is toxic to them. Unfortunately, Jack can't follow them in because her RPM class starship Sweet Remedy can't handle being in the atmosphere, so she has to hastily modify it with help from one of her best mates, Storm Sierra Tango, Kel Williams. But it's a 1,000,001 chance if they're going to find them or not.
And so you have to buy the book to find out.
Absolutely. The book is available on Lulu and Amazon.
That sounds pretty good. Best of luck with the writing, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite, Adam.
Thank you everybody for watching this video. Please give it a like and a share and a subscribe. If you'd like to donate to the show, please go to Buy Me a Coffee or GoFundMe. The links are in the description. This is Adam Luff, signing out. Don't you just love the fact that he came back in Eastern Eclipse?
See you down there.